NXT TakeOver Chicago was a show that delivered and really gives Backlash a run for its money, and it hasn't even aired yet. So we're in this big debate right now, like, will Backlash be able to surpass this? Let's just honestly say it's not really a debate, it's actually a fact. No, because it just won't. Now, I was fearing that due to Hideo Itami being part of the show and the GTS being his move, fans would chant CM Punk, CM Punk. And here's what happened. At the beginning of the pre-show, we started hearing vaguely a little bit of CM Punk chants, and then we heard boos because fans, for some reason, in NXT are much smarter than the casual fans up in main rosterville, know that this isn't CM Punk's show. It's the NXT show. It's basically our show. And oh my god, this show was actually pretty awesome. Roderick Strong versus Eric Young. Now, I was expecting, like, Roderick Strong, he's been getting some kind of a push lately, especially with his impressive vignettes they've been doing for him about his character and whatnot. And when I learned that Eric Young was going to face him, I was thinking to myself, so does that mean Kansas Ono is going to get involved? Like, Roderick Strong is on his own, so he might need some backup. But no, they didn't do that. Instead, Roderick Strong pretty much took out the entire Sanity group, with the exception of Nikki Cross. So, I was concerned about that on the grounds of what if Roderick Strong beats them so much that he basically becomes Superman. I was really concerned about that. And, well, that didn't really happen that much. Like, he got outmaneuvered. Like, the referee gave some leeway when, I think Killian Dane, did something, like, tackled him. And the referee was giving leeway to that, so at least they kept Sandy at least strong enough. But I was surprised Roderick Strong beat Eric Young. That made me a little mad because I was thinking to myself, so let's see if I got this straight. Ty Dillinger? Damn him. Roderick Strong? Oh yeah. Because I really, like, it took Ty Dillinger 3 times to beat. It took Ty Dillinger 3 attempts to try and finally beat Eric Young in a cage match. And it took Roderick Strong on his first time. Now, I could be wrong, but I do know yeah, I don't watch NXT tape shows anymore. So, yeah, I could have missed that. But Eric Young losing to Roderick Strong in the first bout, I was a little, like, I don't even see the end game for Sandy. Like, Sandy was this pitch idea that Triple H apparently had thought of for, like, over 10 years now, even before he started getting a more active role in the company in an executive meaning. And I was always curious, like, how is Sandy going to be built up? How is Sandy going to build up to this dominant faction? What's the end game for this? Are they going to get the NXT Tag Team titles, the NXT Women's title, or the NXT Championship? Like, clearly Eric Young's the leader, so does that mean he's going to get a shot at the title? No, instead he's just been relegated to opening big takeover events, and that's pretty much it. Like, yeah, like I said, this was a good match, a solid way to start the show, but I'm curious as to know what's the end game plan for Sanity in NXT, and when they eventually make the move to main rosterville. Like, it's impossible right now to do a Wyatt family versus Sanity group because half of the Wyatt family members are on Raw and the other half is on SmackDown, and they are not on good terms with each other. Braun Strowman doesn't care and is injured right now. Tragic. Bray Wyatt, he's in the middle of a feud with Finn Balor, and the last time Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman interacted, Braun Strowman attacked him. After Bray Wyatt tried to sway him over to his side, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, were basically at war with each other, and it's led to a backlash match, which I don't get why. There's been no build up whatsoever to this. This is just last minute changes. So, yeah, I don't know what the end game plan is. I really hope there's an end game plan. Like, this leads to something, like a reign for Eric Young. I would like to see Bobby Roode and Eric Young go at it before they leave NXT. And plus, they're best friends in real life. Like, they have some crazy times in TNA. I think they were partners at one point. I don't remember. But it'd be interesting to see them go at it for the NXT Championship. Now let's get to a match that I've been wanting to talk about that many people like to say was match of the year and stole the show. Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate for the United Kingdom Championship as part of this big build up to the United Kingdom Championship show. And also after the United Kingdom Championship special that aired the day before NXT TakeOver. So this match, I knew it was going to be a grapple fest since they're using their English grappling maneuvers in the European style, and this match was a whole lot impressive. Like it especially got even better than the fact Jim Ross was calling the shots on the show. Like I heard Jim Ross was going to call NXT TakeOver Chicago. I was thinking like, is he going to call the entire show, or is he just going to call one specific match? And by God, I'm glad they let him commentate on this show. Like, the commentary was really good, especially with Jim Ross on the commentary booth. So yeah, this match was pretty much awesome. There is nothing to change here. Tyler Bate, 20 years old. He was 19 when he won the belt, so yeah. Face Pete Dunne. You know, he's only one step away from calling himself Kevin Dunn, and I'm pretty sure that would have elicited a lot of heat. But thank God they're not doing that. And I heard that Pete Dunne actually brought his Progress World Championship over to WWE during the UK special, so I gotta check that out. Because, well, WWE only acknowledges their world titles, they don't acknowledge all the other titles, with the exception of the NWA, or the WCW belt. But they don't acknowledge all the other ones, they just call them IWGP Championship, Heavyweight Championship. They never say the IWGP World Championship. So Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, like, there were times I thought this match actually almost ended, especially when Tyler Bate did the spin move with a torture rack spinner, and everyone was getting hyped on it, and they all thought this was a cover fall for it, and I was thinking like, oh, is this how the match is going to end? Like, I'd be surprised if they actually did that, but no, it didn't. It kept going. It lasted for 15 minutes and nearly 30 seconds. Like, I didn't care who would win this match. I also heard Pete Dunne in the independent scene used a kid as a weapon, and I'm thinking like, oh god, that would have been so awesome if he did that in the match. Like, just grabbed any bystander in the eyes and just used them as a shield. Like, that would have just been so awesome. Like, Pete Dunne is great at delivering heat. But since Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne were doing so well in this match, that the audience just couldn't help but love both of them. They wanted either to win, and at the end of the match, they gave him a standing ovation. So Pete Dunne won the match, is now United Kingdom champion, and all is great in the world. Yeah, like, this was basically a rematch from their United Kingdom tournament match, so it'd be really interesting to see a third chapter in their saga. And Tyler Bate has defended the UK title in several NXT shows, Jack Gallagher being one of the opponents, and I think Trent Seven. And I must also add, I believe Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven are all tag team, all partners in Progress Wrestling. I don't know why they came up with that name, but still, it's the name of the company. So Progress, I think all three of them are partners. I don't recall. It's been a while. It's been a little bit. I haven't really looked that up, but I believe all of them are partners, and they all hold titles there. Last time I checked, I could be outdated on that, but they are great as rivals. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, they'd be great in a feud. And it'd be tragic if they go to main rosterville. Luckily, they're going to have their own show on the WWE Network. Or then I would have been crying my eyes out, because they would not be used as right as they would be on the main roster. Like, they'd be used great in NXT, but on their own show where they have their own platform, they'd be used greatly well. And my God, like I said, Pete Dunne just looks like a badass villain. And Tyler Bate is the never say die kid, especially him being so young. And I would love to see this feud. Like, it ranks up there with AJ Styles and John Cena this year. So, and I hated that match on the grounds that it was basically a repeat, but with an alternative ending. So you might as well just did a SummerSlam. So you might as well, it's like Rock and Cena again. At least that was how I saw it. Except Cena had to carry that ego one more time and AA him twice. So Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate is my top contender for match of the year. They better win it. Especially since WWE is pushing for the UK market even more now. The United Kingdom Championship, like, I see its design and I say to myself, okay, that's actually a pretty cool design. But it's sort of a little lazy since it just looks like the WWE Championship just with the UK symbol on it. And the Universal Belt. But it at least looks and feels prestigious, whereas the Universal Belt's just Super Duper Mega World Championship. And the WWE belt is, well, the WWE belt. It's the #1 belt. So, Pete Dunne's going to have, hopefully, an awesome run as a heel champion. And hopefully he goes in opening UK Championship Wrestling on the WWE Network. Especially, I'm curious as to know, will they let him bring the belt over to the independent scene as a way to get free publicity? Because that would actually be kind of cool. I think they let Tyler Bate do that a lot when he's in progress. Like, they're still under contract. They're not officially signed to WWE yet. But it'd be hard not to pass these guys up. Like, these two guys were awesome. They delivered a hell of a match. So let's get to a match that had some innovative moments, but I kind of felt was a little disappointing in terms of, well, what could have been. Asuka versus Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross. Now, originally, this was going to be a fatal 4-way match with Ember Moon in it. And I'm pretty sure if had Ember Moon not gotten injured, she probably would have won the match as a way to protect Asuka, and Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross were the victims in this. And update on Ember Moon, it was reported that she's out for 6 months. Oh, God. Just when her crowning moment was finally approaching, it's yanked away from her due to injury. Damn you, fate! So Asuka and Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross, they did an okay match to me. It wasn't the best, but it was great. Like, there were some good innovative moments, especially with Nikki Cross. Like, that was the one major highlight for me, was when Nikki Cross went ahead and when Asuka went through a dive for the ring. And yes, I have not commented about Randy Orton's little indie attack. I'll just say this. I think they're trying to build up a Randy Orton versus an indie guy soon. Adam Cole. Please happen. But when Asuka went for this dive, Nikki Cross actually caught her in the ropes, caught her with the apron, and actually managed to start viciously beating her. And I was like, okay, that was actually kind of innovating. Like, that was pretty awesome. Just to see pure chaos between Nikki Cross. And I like the fact how Nikki Cross and Ruby Riott, they could have just ganged up on the undefeated Asuka. But no, they decided to say, you know what? I could do this. And they did for one moment, but then they immediately went back to hating each other. Then they decide to beat the living... Then, at the beginning of the match, like, Nikki Cross throws her coat at Ruby Riott and charges at her. And I'm like, okay, that is actually refreshing. Like, if this was in Rosterville, I wouldn't be surprised if they had Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross team up on Asuka. Because Asuka is undefeated and therefore is the target for both women. And even the commentators were playing up, why aren't they doing that? And it's like, oh, well, this isn't WWE main Rosterville. This is NXT, a much better logical place. So, yeah. Nikki Cross and Ruby Riott, they did everything in their power to make this match work with the loss of Ember Moon. But I keep having that nagging feeling like Ember Moon was supposed to win this match had she not gotten injured. So, it's curious as to know what's going to happen afterwards. Like, Asuka also pinned both Nikki Cross and Ruby Riott, which was actually pretty fun, because I never thought, throughout my entire time watching WWE, I've seen wrestlers gang up on another in a handicap match and pile each other on top of them in order to get a victory, but mostly to giants. I never seen a wrestler pin both guys or girls or women to get the victory. Like, I've never seen that. So I'm curious to know, will Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross go back to war with each other and lead to their own singles match? Is Asuka going to keep the belt for another 6 months until Ember Moon gets back and then ultimately give it to her? Pretty much. It's curious to know about this. Like, are they going to build anyone else up? Like, they spent a year building up Ember Moon to be the one that defeats Asuka, but due to this injury, it's set their plans back by 6 months. So yeah, it's going to be interesting if Asuka's going to keep the belt, or are they just going to get someone else to build themselves up to get it. And yeah, the Women's Championship match, it was not the... Okay, all the matches in NXT, I will say, were great. The show was great, everything about it was great, but I have to be that guy that has to put at least one of them on the list of what was the, quote, worst match of the night, even though there wasn't really a bad match. I would have to say the triple threat match is just above Roderick Strong and Eric Young. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, to me, is at the top. Bobby Roode and Hideo Itami's in third place, and the Authors of Pain and DIY are in second place. Again, maybe they tie with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, but that's beside the point. Then we got a surprisingly not the main event, but would have been the main event. Everyone thought it would be, at least. Bobby Roode versus Hideo Itami for the NXT Championship. And I was really glad Hideo Itami was finally getting the chance to go out to the NXT title, since he's been in WWE for a couple of years. He has had injury after injury, setback after setback, which caused him to not really live up to the hype that he was hoping to do. Like, everything was going well for him, and then he got injured. Then he came back, part of a tag team tournament, then got injured again, and is finally back. So I'm hoping this run works this time. And I'm hoping he goes to SmackDown, because if I'm not mistaken, WWE's considering having him be in the Cruiserweight division on Raw, which will suck. But yeah, Bobby Roode and Hideo Itami, like, they tried their damnedest to beat Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, but they just couldn't. Like, the match was great, let me just say that. But it's hard to top off the UK Championship match, but they did the best they could. It was an awesome match. And I really wanted Hideo Itami to win, because I felt like he deserves the chance to run with the NXT Championship, in terms of, well, he should just get it once and then drop it at the next TakeOver if he can make it. But he needs to show that he still can deliver. He can still fulfill his hype and promises he's made in NXT throughout this run, because honestly, he's kind of the longest guy in NXT yet. Like, he stayed in NXT longer than all the other ones. He's missed 2 generations. Okay, excluding the Seth Rollins reign at the top of NXT, look at it. Like, he's missed the Neville, he went through the Neville, he was at the end of the Neville era, he was at the end of the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens era, and then he also missed the Finn Balor era. He missed like 2 to 3 eras in NXT due to injury. So I really wanted Hideo Itami to win, and plus I thought 5 months probably could be good for Bobby Roode. But no, Bobby Roode gets the victory. Like, I'm not complaining, but more like I just wanted Hideo Itami to win, because it felt like he's been robbed of opportunity after opportunity, and now he's finally getting this opportunity to finally get the belt, and WWE says, nope, you're not getting the belt. So there was a lot of pressure for Hideo Itami to deliver. I wanted him to deliver, and by God did he deliver. Just it wasn't enough to beat the UK Championship, in my opinion. And then the ladder match completely demolished them. So, yeah, Bobby Roode retains the NXT Championship. Hideo Itami, I don't know what's going to happen to him. Like, is there a slight chance he's going to feud with Eric Young of Sanity? Like, there's a possibility. Like they did, like they'll probably do it again, like to what they did with Ty Dillinger, because Ty Dillinger was in this rut. He was doubtful about his future. Then Eric Young comes in, offers him a group to sanity. Could they do the same thing with Hideo Itami? Though Eric Young may not be done with Roderick Strong. So we might have to wait and see. Now let's get to the main event. The surprising event that, honestly to God, with his ending was so surprising for me, at the same time wasn't, considering how it was the main event. For the NXT Tag Team Championships, a ladder match between the Authors of Pain versus hashtag DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. So, yeah, like, okay, I was thinking to myself, okay, you got a lot on your plate here, guys. You need to deliver, especially you, Tommaso Ciampa. You are currently having a risk of injury due to your knee almost giving out during a few days ago. And you guys need to deliver. You gotta compete with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate and Bobby Roode and Hideo Itami. You gotta compete with those two matches. Everyone's gonna look at those matches and say you gotta beat them. And they beat Bobby Roode and Hideo Itami by a small inch. The Office of Pain in their first ladder match, DIY, I'm not sure. I could have missed the independent scene, but DIY and the Office of Pain prove that Tag Team Wrestling main eventing is not dead. In fact, when was the last time a tag team match main evented the pay-per-view? I can't remember. At my best recollection, I would say Triple DX versus Chris Jericho and Big Show at TLC 2009? Oh, wait, that was the Survivor Series match with the Authority and Team Cena. Not straight up tag team match like we're usually, like 2-on-2. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, the NXT Tag Team Championship match was defended in a ladder match between the Authors of Pain and DIY. It was an awesome match. Like, there were times I was worried for Tommaso Ciampa because he was hurt a few days ago and almost couldn't make it to the show, apparently, but he was cleared enough to compete. And I was worried, like, okay, Tommaso Ciampa might feel like he has a chip on his shoulder, especially DIY in general, because they say they always wanted to do a show in Chicago, and they're finally getting this opportunity, especially being the main event. And yeah, it was really on their shoulders that, yeah, we gotta deliver. And by God, the Office of Pain and DIY told a story, and to the point that now it makes me wish to myself, man, it's gonna suck when DIY leave. Because I don't recall, like, I don't know if the rival can do it. The revival's gone. DIY will be leaving most likely soon, especially in a couple of months. So, which other tag team can make the Office of Pain look like a dominant force and make them look actually impressive? TM61? In fact, whatever happened to those guys? The guy just disappeared from me. So, yeah. The Authors of Pain retained their tag team championship. And this match was brutal. Like, I was worried, like, oh god, I hope Tommaso Ciampa's not hurt. I hope any of them are not hurt. Like, there were some sick bumps, especially with them diving off the ladder and Johnny Gargano crashing into Tommaso Ciampa, I believe, crashed into one. And then Tommaso Ciampa suplexed one of the Authors of Pain onto another ladder. And I could see, and I was thinking to myself, is the ladders made of wood? Like, I know they're not fully made of metal and steel, because then everyone would be injured. But I'm thinking to myself, was it made of wood or made of a weaker form of metal? Because it looked like there were showing some wood chippings and the cameras immediately cut away from that, like they didn't want to break the illusion. But yeah, that didn't really take me much out of the match. It was still awesome. But DIY and the Office of Pain, like I said, they're the second best match. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate earned the number one in this listing. And I'm not just saying that because Jim Ross commentated on that. though that certainly helped. But I think more along the line, other than Paul Ellering getting super kicked by Johnny Gargano, the biggest thing was the ending. After the match, after Authors of Pain won, and Paul Ellering is carried out, DIY do their usual sit down together, and like, we did it, man, we did it. And I was thinking to myself, is this okay, there are two ways they're going to do this. Either one, they're going to break up and they're going to do a heel turn for one of them, or two, this is their goodbye message to the NXT universe, since they're going to move up to main rosterville. And Tommaso Ciampa tells Johnny Gargano that we're family, and then immediately betrays him. And I was like, no! And then, after the show, I had my thoughts running through my head afterwards of, like, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, there's only one of two reasons, though ultimately they're intertwined, but they could be both, that there are two reasons why they would do this. Number one, Vince McMahon once again proves he's a stupid idiot by deciding with bullshit coming out of his brain, thinking like, DIY is an impressive tag team. What? The Cruiserweights? Christ? Break them up. We can't have that. We need to have Cruiserweights on Raw. We can't have such a thing as a tag team Cruiserweight. That's impossible. Or B, Triple H wanted to break up DIY in order to extend their stay in NXT, because honestly, I would honestly prefer that. And, or C, this is obviously, they're going to do both. Like, I seriously was hoping DIY would move to SmackDown as a tag team, because honestly, that would be pretty awesome, and kind of show that not all the cruiserweight size guys are going to NXT, are going to Raw, because, they're cruiserweight size, therefore they're cruiserweights to us. Like the Bollywood Boys, I can't believe I just said that. Like, even though the Singh brothers haven't really done anything, just be enforcers to Jinder Mahal, the Maharaja. And DIY is officially dead. I'm crying. It's sad. This was an awesome tag team, guys. And originally they were supposed to have a singles run accordingly. To get, they weren't ever supposed to be partners, but they wanted to be partners. So, yeah. So I'm curious to know, DIY, are they going to move up to main rosterville to start this feud? Or are they going to stay in NXT for a while and have a feud down there before moving to the Cruiserweight division on Raw? Because, let's be honest, I don't think they're going to be moving to SmackDown to do this. Like, when they were attacking, they had a shot. But now, as separate guys, they're most likely going to move to Raw. It'd be a miracle if they go to SmackDown. But, yeah, all I know is that at the end of this episode of NXT, we had witnessed the birth, the reemergence of the Psycho Killer, a.k.a. Tommaso Ciampa. So, yeah, that match was awesome, especially Tommaso Ciampa German suplexing one of the Authors of Pain onto her ladders, which was awesome. But the endgame scene where Tommaso Ciampa basically suplexed himself onto tables with his friend Johnny Gargano, and I love this look of betrayal on Johnny Gargano, just looking on after he got punched in the face numerous times, like, why? After Tommaso Ciampa had said that they're family, though I'm starting to think now that, did he say that in storyline purposes, or did he say that because he's just reassuring him that, yes, we're always going to be brothers, despite this huge split group. Yeah. So, NXT TakeOver Chicago was great. It was awesome. Not a single bad match on the card. And like I said, if I was to give it a ranking from best of the best to worst of the best, is Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate at number 1. Authors of Pain versus DIY at number 2. Bobby Roode and Hideo Itami at number 3. Asuka, Ruby Riott, and Nikki Cross at number 4, and Roderick Strong and Eric Young at number 5. Like, that's the best order I can come up with. So, those were my thoughts on WWE NXT TakeOver Chicago. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate and stitch in for more.